Are you trying to get your Space Marines to the battlefield but not having a good time getting them there, or just don't have a vehicle to do it? Well, join me today as we print a model that isn't even made anymore. Join me as we print the Imperial Stormbird. See you guys inside. Hello and welcome to today's video. As I said, we are looking at the Imperial Stormbird. Now, this is a Stormbird mostly used around the Horus Heresy. This is a Medusa pattern, so you guys will see that from the model. I did shrink this down so I could print it in one piece. So this is actually only half the size of what the actual model would have been that you would have gotten from Games Workshop. So, and honestly, they don't even make this anymore. Now they're Thunderhawks and different transport ships. So my big Warhammer, I love reading the Horus Heresy books, which these guys are set in that time. So, and the Thunderhawks are coming in and replacing these at that time. In the first three of the Horus Heresy, you hear Loken even complain about it, that he loves the Stormbirds and not the new Thunderhawks that are coming. So, mine is in blue. You can guess which faction I'm choosing to print. I do like the 13th. The Ultramarines are kind of my favorite, Rubik Guilliman and all of them. But, you know, there are a lot of legions that are really cool, especially before the Heresy. So, like even the Luna Wolves. They're a really awesome faction, but they became the bad guys. And no, we want to stay with the good guys. So, that's kind of my choice. So we're going to get over to the computer. We're going to slice this Medusa pattern one and give the model creator the credit. We'll get close-ups. You guys will see this printed. Unfortunately, I don't think I have a video of me actually taking the support off, which actually it came off really easy. I actually over-supported it, which it happens. But, I mean, there's a lot of awesome detail here. There is a big gap in my model right here. It was my own doing, so I've got to fill that. So I'll probably fill that with a 3D printing pin before I'm done with this, and then some filler and a little bit of sanding with a toothbrush sander that I made. But all in all, the detail is awesome. So, and like I said, one print. I printed straight up. And it came out beautifully. Yes, it looks boxy, but that's how this was. You guys will get a better view of the detail here in a few, after the printing part. You'll get a real good view of the detail on the model, because this is an intricately detailed model, and I very much love the detail and how it came out with FDM printing. So this one is FDM printed, all one piece. A CR10 V2 was used to do it. So, pretty awesome thing. So, one thing before we hop over to the computer, but one of the important things with this channel, if you enjoy the content on this channel, you want to see more stuff like the Imperial models that aren't even made anymore, more Halo, Star Trek, Star Wars models, stuff that's behind me, Mech Warrior. I know I've had someone request that I do a video on this, which unfortunately, this is one of my first prints. I don't even have video of it, so I'm going to have to redo it. To even get the video footage. Battlestar Galactica, Starship Troopers. If there's something you want to see like that, hit that subscribe button. Join the crew. Join us as you see new videos. I've got at least one video coming out every week. If there is something you want to see or a question about 3D printing or anything along that line, resin or filament printing, leave that comment down below. I do respond to the comments, so definitely help you out. If you do have a question, hit me up on my email that's on the About page, and we can talk that way as well. So, with all that said, make sure you share the content. Let's hop over to Cura and let's get this thing sliced. All right, my fellow Imperials. Here is the model that we are printing today by Cookie411A, a Medusa Pattern Stormbird. Now, one of the things out there on Thingiverse that you can find is there's actual multiple patterns available, which is awesome. If you want to see me take on one of these other patterns, actually, let's just backtrack a little bit. Just search Stormbird, and there are all kinds of different patterns, modular ones, all kinds that you can do. I chose the Medusa because I've actually heard this pattern used in the lore before, so that's why I went after this one. So there's actually just this page. There's not other pages. So there's a lot out here that you can find. And there's actually, I think these are more of the newer ones. The Storm Ravens and Thunderhawks that you kind of see out there. But the Stormbird is the one that caught my attention. So again, the Medusa pattern is the one that we're using today. Let's get Cura opened up. And let's start getting some files in here. So as I said, this
model maker, Cookie, did an awesome job. Not only is there a whole pattern, but there's all the parts. So you could actually print this to the real size. I did not print this at the real size, and I just noticed we're on the wrong printer. We need a Creality CR10 for this bad boy. So I'm going to choose the whole file, and actually I'll pull this back over so you guys can see. He did a really good job of breaking up the files, the weaponry, and all that stuff, so this can easily be printed on an Ender 3 or smaller printer. But, you know, I kind of go for the whole shebang when I can. And again, as I said, I had to reduce this to fit into the build plate, so it's really about half the size it should be for a game size. But I wasn't really after, I'm not doing stuff for my Space Marines here. So here's the full pattern. As you guys can see, that no bueno, that no fit on the build plate. So now after a lot of tinkering, and let's get this guy settled in, I tinkered with this model a lot. And one of the things that I've been noticing in the comments, people saying that I have a huge amount of waste on my model. If I printed this in pieces, yeah, there really wouldn't be any waste because I could get this down, use a lot less support, but that's not what I'm after. And one of the things I want to point out too is when I place a model on my build plate, before I'm even making this video like I am right now, I actually go through a ton of angles, a ton of different orientations to try to get the best model where I'm having to move the least supports, having the least support contact points, because I hate sanding, let's be honest, I hate doing it. I want a clean model as quickly as I can get it. So kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at what I'm doing. So looking at this model, all the support, this position is just going to have a ton of support. First off, let's kick this down. Like I said, I shrunk mine to half the size. And Cura, thank you, put it back. So let's unclick that and let's get it moved to the build plate. And what I found when doing this is most of the weird support stuff was in the back. So what was the best solution for me was to turn this guy on his back because I wanted minimum support. You guys can see there's some manifolding issues in the model. They really were not that bad of an issue for me. I did have a gap form in here when I sliced it. I didn't catch it, but I'm just going to fill it. Not a real big deal to me. But all in all, you can see how the model is standing up. So we're going to have supports, the wings, some of the backing here. A lot of the support will be right here supporting the missiles. You'll have a piece coming up to support that. A lot of this other stuff doesn't need support. You have these wings here will be supported, but anything beyond that, there's not a lot of support. So there's not a lot that we have to do here. So here's my layer heights. Here's my shell, my infill. I'm doing this I'm doing this as a model. I'm not doing this as a toy. So I'm not too worried about it, you know, getting roughed up or anything. This is not meant to be, this is going to go on a shelf or somewhere. So the wall strength plus a little bit of infill, it's going to be strong enough. Support, let's try this at 70%. I'm going to do this on a raft, and I'm going to do that 5 millimeters because I want to have some extra outlay because I'm going up high and thin. So I want to make sure this builds nicely. It's kind of one of those things to kind of keep in mind as you build, especially if you're doing narrow. A raft can be really good to keep that build plate adhesion. You can also use a brim, but I do most of my stuff with a raft. Now mine was actually a 5-day print. Yes, Cura is saying it's a 3-day print. It's going to use half a spool of filament. But this model also gave me a really good amount of detail for what I printed. So let's take a look at the preview. It should take only a moment here to generate it. I am using Cura 4.8. Just a heads up. But right here, you see the gap I'm talking about it creates. And that is through the whole model, but when you look at the finalized model in the further video, you can see it's not that bad of a thing and it can easily be filled. But looking at the supports, yes, there looks like there's a lot. There's really not. When I took these supports off, it came off pretty easy and without a lot of pull and tear. So one thing I am noticing right now that was not, I caught earlier, this point right here needs a little bit extra support so it forms correctly. But all in all, there's not that much bad support on here. And we're getting good orientation, and all the pull marks will be back here on the back of the plane, which makes it a lot easier to come in and clean up with sanders and snips to get a good clean finish. So it's kind of one of those important things. You got to be mindful of how you're putting the model on the plate. You don't want to have it face down and have a ton of underlaying support that just makes it a bear to get off and clean up. You got to look at how your model's sitting and how it's going to pull away from that support. Make sure you get a good clean pull. And that's what's nice about this one is there's a few places that the support will be popped out. Mostly it'll come off the back. So when I'm looking at it this way or up above where I'm really going to be looking at it, not a lot I have to do. The back side, I got to get my file out and clean it up. That's any 3D print, we have to do that. Anybody getting into the hobby, you're going to have cleanup, you're going to have sanding, you're going to have prying. It's just, this is the name of the game. So, and you're going to have waste from support. But looking at that support, there's maybe 50 grams of support on here. And the raft, if you're worried about losing bed plate adhesion, pop it out to a 10 millimeter. So it's going to use more. I would rather use more support and get a print than have a print fail halfway through and I waste 250 grams because I didn't support it and I didn't put enough grab for it to have good plate adhesion. So that's kind of my reasoning for how I print. Just kind of keep that in mind. Kind of put that mindset in there as well because like I said, this is, yeah, I'm using half a spool here. Okay. I can knock that infill percentage down to 2%. All honestly, I can knock it down to 1%. I want some infill just for strength, for a little bit of strength. But if your walls are good enough, you don't even need that strength. So looking at my walls, my wall thickness is 0.8. I'm doing a pretty thick wall. And my bottom thickness, my top thickness, my line count, I'm building my walls up. So really, I could knock that down if I wanted to. But you know, it's kind of one of those things I already printed it at that setting, so I'm not too worried about it. So kind of keep that in mind. These models, if you go out on eBay and look for the authentic one, these aren't made. You can't find a Stormbird. And the authentic ones out there that are available are like $1,200 or more for some of them. So it's kind of one of those things. This is a great way to kind of have this for, I'm not even going to use it in a game. This is just for a diorama or something like that to show your Imperial one. And the model itself, like I said, it's cut up into all those pieces. You could print this full size if you really wanted to have it for your diorama. So it's kind of one of those things, but I've yammered on enough. If you guys are enjoying this, hit that subscribe button. If you like seeing me do these tutorials of how I print it before I show you the print, let me know down in the comments below, or if this is just boring and you just want to see those prints. So let's hop over to that time lapse.
All right, guys, that's the model. 3D printed in my hand. Very lightweight because I didn't use very much infill to keep it lightweight. And like I said, I knocked this down to 50%. If you want to do a full 100% model, which this thing is huge, if this is only 50%, even with the CR10, I'd have to print it in pieces. And the model maker did a really awesome job with the file of breaking it up and having it into pieces for you to do that. So kudos to the model maker on this one. This was a very detailed, very well done model. You can make this for any faction. You can add parts on and turn it into a chaos ship very easily. It's very basic. I love that the Aquillas are already on it. The detail on this is amazing for what it is, and the size, and honestly filament printing. It came out really well. So I'm going to get that over to paint this because I printed white with a CR10 V2 with Inland PLA Plus. Then I black primered it, did some white primering, and then I came back with the blue to really kind of help the black pull the shadows and different things like that. Kind of saved me some time in printing it and painting it. If you want to see the rest of that paint job, as I said in a prior video, I'm thinking about starting a second channel with just the painting. So if you guys want to see that channel and want me to do that, let me know down in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next video.